welcome to Dow's Rigging and Crane Tips 2022. Yeah. Heaps of bruvs been messaging me. Heaps of Crane Tip fam. Heaps of brothers of the hook have been messaging me saying, bruv, when's a 2022 a yeah coming? And it's now, baby. Yeah. Anyway, how's it going? I'm back. Back and better than ever. I've had Christmas, had a few weeks off. Was supposed to go back to work. I've got something wrong with my feet. I don't know what it is. I'm doing scans on Friday tomorrow. So, I just thought I'd start doing some more crane tips, man, because that's what it's all about, bringing the crane tip fam together, progression. And what I thought of doing, which is a good idea, is doing just a little series on wasted energy. Things you waste your energy on that you don't need to do, that you can stop doing from now on. And I'll just give you one tip every few days on how to stop wasting your energy. Because, man, especially if you're a rigger, there's some long days out there being a rigger. Sometimes they're 12.5 hour days, even longer. I think the longest shift I've ever done was like 17 hours in a row. And that was on this land rig. They just work forever, man. And then the travel home was like an hour and a half. It was like 17 hours or something. It was really crazy back when there was no laws. But anyway, so what I wanted to there's some shout outs too. Adam G, I'm Green, Doggy in Melbourne. You do a video on mobile dogging with whistles. It's something you don't get showed much of here. Yeah, man, I know my whistles. I broke my teeth in Queensland, in New Zealand actually. Then I moved to Queensland, so I know some whistles. Another guy here saying he got his truck ticket. I forget where his name is. My mate Tim too, shout out Tim. He got his first crane job the other day. So he was on like a little 12-ton Kato or something, but fully stoked. So that was good to see. And there's another guy here in my notifications, Liam. Sorry buddy, but he said he got his dogger's ticket. And Lewis Weir, you're a legend, mate. Got my ticket over 2 years ago now. Now I'm dogging for the first time and been thrown in the deep end. These vids are saving my ass big time. And that's what it's about. That's what it's about. That's what this crane channel's about. It's just about helping you riggers. Not all the laws and calculations and maths, because they all cover that in your tickets. But what they don't cover is how to do stuff efficiently and easily and real world scenario. And so this leads on to my first tip about wasted energy. Now my first tip comes from exactly what I just said. In your tickets, when you're doing your rigger's ticket, you've got to dog the crane so exact, and you pick up a load and then you slew him 180 degrees and then you dog him the whole way inch by inch and he listens to you like a robot. And in the real world that doesn't happen because it's a fast-paced industry and you got to get shit done. And most of the time when you're right outside the dogger's door and you're learning, he can see the loads, alright? So my first tip on wasted energy, what you're doing is wasting your time. If he can see you, you're wasting your time telling him his slew. Tell him his slew. So here's an example, okay? So I'm going to pull up this. I hope you're with me. Okay. So we've got this one here. So if we can have a look at this, this is like a bird's eye view of a crane, right? Now look, if you look at this cab is kind of right underneath the boom. It is to the right of it, but it's right underneath the boom. And so he's got this full scope of like the winch block here all the way up to the top of his boom, and he's kind of right underneath the boom. So he can see his slew. He can see if his wires pull into the left or pull into the right once he gets a bit of weight on, and even before he gets a bit of weight on. And then when he puts his hook and chains down to this box here, he can see if it's not in the middle. So as a green rigger, we get all the time dudes trying to correct your slew, or you go to a load like this, a little box right outside your door, and he's going, oh, slew like 2 inches to your right. And it's like, it's just wasted energy, man. It is. Just stop doing it, and you never have to worry about it again. Now, there is some disclaimers, because I don't want you to not get a slew for all scenarios. What you need to do is, if he's blind, so if he's got loads over the back of this wall here, I hope you're still following, over the back of this wall here, you be pedantic as you want. You get his slew inch by inch, you get his jib inch by inch, because he can't see. But if you've got loads like this, say you've got like a gearbox here, like a cage, just pretend, a scaffold there, and like say a bit of steel here, and it's right outside his cab, there's no reason to be pedantic, and there's also no reason to get his slew right. He can see it. He's right there, and he's got like a kind of like a bird's eye view, like a 45-degree down to them, and he can see his chains in the middle of these small loads. And so if you're right outside on the ground in the view of the crane operator, you don't have to be pedantic at all. You don't have to be worried or stressed out about your signals. All you pretty much have to do is stand beside the load, and he'll jib down the chains down to the middle, and you kind of just stop him on the jib when he gets there. Or you don't even have to if it's this close. He can get the chains in the middle of the load easy. He can see it, and he can definitely see his slew better than you. Alright, some scenarios where you do have to get his slew right would be in front of the cab here. See this little box? That's when you would get his slew, and you would get his jib, and you would be pedantic, because he can't see through his cab there. So that's when you are pedantic. But here, little bits of snot right out front of his crane, pretty much just point to it, and the crane operator will get it there, and he'll get enough slack for whatever you need. So you pretty much, it's just a no-brainer. You don't have to waste energy being pedantic with your rigging and getting his slew and jib, and he's pretty much just going to throw the chains down the middle of these loads, and you just got to hook it up. And so a 12-hour day where you don't have to do this anymore because you think you have to, and all you're doing is annoying the crane operator being pedantic, then that's a great thing. I've just saved you a whole lot of energy that you don't need to waste anymore. Now, if there was a big container here, so a truck pulls up through this driveway, if you can see my cursor, and there's a container which is just a bit higher than his cab, so his height's there, then get his jib, alright? But you don't need to get his slew. He can see his slew perfectly with his wires looking up to the top of his boom. Okay, but definitely get his jib spot on, because what you want, if there's anything close to outriggers or really, really close to his cranes, you don't want it hitting his outriggers. So that's when you be spot on. But little snot lifts out there, man, pretty much point to the load, pick it up, If it's a bit heavy, get his jib right, So the next picture I just want to go to just quickly is this one here. So just pretend this mark here is 10 meters. Anything within this 10 meter radius, on a normal crane, he's got that angle on his cab where he's high. He's sitting about 2.5 meters higher than you. So you pretty much just got to point to the load. Anything beyond 10 meters to the 15, 20 meter mark, what you want to be doing is he'll be able to see the load, you know. All he'll do is he'll get his slew perfectly in the middle of it, and then he'll start jibbing down. And when he starts jibbing it down to 20 meters or so, all you need to be doing is stopping his jib. So he's going to be jibbing down, and naturally he's going to be relying on you to stop his jib when he's over the center of the load. And so that's your role there. Anything beyond 10 to 15 meters, he starts jibbing down, and about 2 meters before it's over the center of the load, I'd start doing my signals, and you know, I'd start doing my signals. 2 meters out, I'll start doing my signals. Yep, another couple of meters, keep going. Once it's over the center of the load, stop. And that's all you need to do. He can see his slew perfectly. You know what I mean? He can see it on most occasions. So unless he's blind, or unless you've got a load in front of the cab, and that's technically blind anyway. And what I mean by blind is if he's lifting over onto a first floor or second floor and can't see his hook anymore, that's what I mean by blind. Or behind a big wall, or behind a corner, or something like that, the load's there. That's when you do be pedantic, you know, and you usually got a radio and, well, obviously, or a whistle. That's when you do pedantic. So that's the tip. Wasted energy. Stop wasting your energy if you're right outside the cab, getting the slew right, or even like if you're within 10 meters, being too pedantic. All you got to do is pretty much point to the load and hook it up. He can see it. He's 2.5 meters off the ground. He's looking down right on top of it. It's kind of like if I was on the top of a ladder and you were at the bottom of the ladder and you're looking up at me going, oh bro, slew to your left. It's like, bro, I can see it, man. Like, I'm right here. I'm right on top of it. Like, what are you doing? So it's wasting your time, and it's wasting the crane operator's time, you know, like it really is. So I've just saved you, bruv. You know, if you're a green rigger and you're stressing out thinking that you've got to do like in your tickets, like, oh, yeah, slew right, and you don't do that in the real world, you know, especially if you're within 10 meters of the crane and just picking up snot. All right. But I hope that you can have the thinking to know when to be pedantic, and that's when you're blind, or when it's in front of the crane where he can't see, or a heavy load where the load's actually at his height so he can't see his jib. You know, that's when you get his jib. But you don't have to get his slew because he can see it. He can see if the wires are on the piss like that because he's right under the boom. He looks up, he sees the wires like that, and he'll bring it over. Some guys on a heavy lift, some crane operators on a heavy lift, what they'll do is they'll have their crane on free slew. So if the load's like more than 4 ton, as soon as they start picking up weight, the crane actually free slews into center, and that's how they get perfect slew. Especially on heavy loads, you'll notice all crawler operators and all mobile crane operators, you know, over 100 ton or whatever, if you've got a heavy load or a dual lift load, you'll have it in free slew. Some cranes don't have free slew, like Al Grove, like at work, doesn't have free slew. The most stupidest thing I've ever seen. Like, what type of crane doesn't have free slew? Like, but it is what it is. But most cranes do, and that's a perfect scenario in using it. You got a heavy load, you need to get dead center, you pick it up, it's kind of on the piss. Once you get up to about 2-3 ton, you'll notice the crane just centers itself in the perfect center. There's some scenarios where you don't use that, but I'll get into that another time. So I hope you like this tip, guys. Wasted energy series coming up. Like these videos, subscribe here. I'm going to put my PayPal in the description. So if you've got a crane tip that you want me to do, hook Brother D up with a small donation. Anything. $2, $5, whatever. So that's it, guys. I'll see you on the next one. crane tip fam.